What is air? What is it made of? Air is all around us. You breathe it in millions of times each day. Your body needs it to function. The air is actually part of the Earth's atmosphere. The atmosphere is a thin layer of gases that surrounds the Earth. If you would think of the Earth as an apple, the atmosphere would be like the skin on that apple. Clean air doesn't have a smell or a taste, so it seems like air could be made of nothing, but it isn't. The air we breathe is actually made up of 9 gases, with 2 being the most abundant. As you can see on the pie chart, nitrogen is the most abundant gas, with oxygen as the second most abundant gas in our atmosphere. More than 3/4 of the air we breathe is nitrogen, while a little less than 1/4 is made of oxygen. The other 7 gases are argon, carbon dioxide, neon, helium, methane, krypton, and hydrogen. Altogether, these 7 other gases only make up about 1% of our air. While each of these only make up a very small part of the air, we wouldn't be able to breathe without it. Sometimes the air you breathe is healthy, but in some places on the planet, the air is dirty. Air quality means whether or not the air around you is clean or dirty. Ideally, everywhere on Earth would have only the cleanest air. But with the invention of modes of transportation, like cars, trains, and planes, and also things like factories, not all air is clean. Air quality means how polluted or dirty the air is that you breathe. Through this module, you will learn how to find out what the air quality is like in your home and community. Today, you will just learn about how air quality might become poor. One of the ways scientists describe air quality is by using the Air Quality Index, or AQI. Today, you will be exploring the AQI website. The Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, rates the air across the United States and determines if the air quality is good, moderate, unhealthy for sensitive groups, unhealthy, very unhealthy, or hazardous. Look at this map for March 25th, 2012. This is an AQI map showing the air quality of the United States. Most of the country on this day was shaded green, which means that the air quality was good for that day. Find where you live in the United States. What was the air quality like that day? Were there any places in the United States that didn't have good air quality that day? Maybe moderate or unsafe for certain groups, the yellow or the orange? Why do you think the air wasn't good that day? Maybe these locations are around other factories or have a lot of transportation pollution. There are many reasons why the air may or may not be of good quality. There are both natural sources and human or man-made sources of air pollution. Many times, most people think of pollution as only man-made, but there are actually natural sources of air pollution, such as forest fires, soil erosion, and dust storms. The wind can carry particles of mold and pollen that can then make the air unhealthy for us to breathe at times. Human sources of air pollution are becoming more and more common. The most common type of air pollution comes from burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gasoline. When these burn, they send carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and sulfur oxides into the air. These fossil fuels are burned by cars and other vehicles, power plants, and factories. These air pollutants affect the air we breathe and our atmosphere. Future modules will focus more on air pollutants and what you can do to help reduce air pollution. Air quality affects our atmosphere. The 9 gases that make up the air in our atmosphere make it possible for people, plants, and animals to survive on our planet. The atmosphere traps energy from the sun, which helps keep the planet warm, but not too hot for living things to survive. It also acts like sunscreen by keeping the most dangerous and harmful rays of the sun away. The last reason the atmosphere helps living things is how it keeps meteoroids from crashing into our planet. Most meteoroids enter the atmosphere, but begin to burn up as they travel through the layers of the atmosphere. By the time they make it through all of the layers to the Earth's surface, they are usually burned up completely. The atmosphere is not just one layer of protection for the Earth and all who live here. The atmosphere is actually made up of 5 layers: the troposphere, the stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and the exosphere. Today, you will just learn about the first 2 layers, the troposphere and the stratosphere. If you would take a trip in a hot air balloon and you would see the Earth looking smaller and smaller as you went higher and higher in the air. You would also start to notice that the higher into the air you went, the colder the air was. You would also start to have trouble breathing because the air pressure goes down. The higher into the atmosphere you would travel, the colder and the thinner the air would get. The troposphere and stratosphere are the 2 bottom layers of the atmosphere. These are the closest to the surface of the Earth. Of the 2, the troposphere is the closest. We live in the troposphere. The conditions in this layer are constantly changing. Tropo actually means to change. What in the troposphere could always be changing? It's the weather. The troposphere is a layer of the atmosphere where weather and most clouds occur. The troposphere rises about 12 kilometers, or about 7.5 miles into the sky. As one would travel higher into the troposphere, the colder it gets. At the very top of this layer, it's about negative 60 degrees Celsius, or negative 76 Fahrenheit, at the very top. Water can form into thin clouds of ice at the top of this layer. As you leave the troposphere and head further into the sky, you would then enter the stratosphere. The stratosphere reaches from 12 to 50 kilometers into the sky, which is about 7 to 31 miles above the surface of the Earth. The ozone layer is contained within the stratosphere. The ozone layer protects the living things on Earth from the harmful rays of the sun. The ozone soaks up ultraviolet light that comes from the sun. Most of the ultraviolet light, but not all, is soaked up by the ozone layer. Too much ultraviolet light burns the skins of humans and can also cause skin cancer. By soaking up the ultraviolet light, the energy is then converted into heat, which helps keep the stratosphere warm. In the next element, you will explore the last 3 layers of the atmosphere, the mesosphere, the thermosphere, and the exosphere, and you'll also learn why they are important to the planet.